Recently, the BBC had been targeted by a lot of people in politics and new media, but also ordinary taxpayers as consumers because of the BBC bias. Now, what does the BBC do in return? They want to expand their propaganda machine to brainwash more people. And by people, we mean children. So the latest news that we have from the Telegraph talks about how the BBC wants to play a bigger role in children's education. James Purnell said he's basically one of the BBC bosses in charge of education. He said that using BBC online resources would free the teachers to concentrate on pastoral care. Right, so the BBC now wants to be your second teacher because the BBC know what you need to be educated. We know exactly where this is going to lead if you let an organization, a quango like the BBC, be in charge of educating our children. Brainwashing happens. They're going to show their world view instead of actually showing you facts, because it's happened before with the BBC resources. So he says, I wonder if a Rubicon has been crossed now. I think for lots of us who grew up in a more traditional educational environment, we thought that school was something that happened in a classroom with people talking. And that's always going to be there, but I think that we're going to have a mix of the two, Purnell said during a virtual event. He said that, are we going to have a world where students are getting the ability to have online lessons and then the teachers and assistants are freed up to do what only they can do in terms of extra help? Extra help. So he wants basically for children and pupils to get their main materials from obviously online resources, but especially the BBC, so that teachers and assistants could be freed up to do the extra help, not the main job, the extra help. So the BBC will be your main teacher, and funded by the taxpayers. The BBC expanded its bite-sized coverage when schools were closed, providing daily lessons for children of every year group. So this is one of the things about the BBC. A lot of people might support it. As a concept, yes, the BBC over the last few decades have provided a lot of good resources in terms of various areas, history, geography, even education for young children. But if you give more leeway, because what they want to do, they want to expand this program, which means they want to essentially be the main teacher. And the sort of materials that these guys will be selling to children, the way they will be brainwashing these kids, they're not going to give them facts. Trust me, they're not going to give them like actual reality. They're going to give them their version of truth, the BBC version. So yeah, essentially this is the plan they have. But my issue with this whole plan is that these are the same people, the hypocrites, who went after the elderly recently, and they forced the over 75s to pay for their TV license and then blamed the government, even though the agreement between the BBC and the central government was that it's the job of the BBC to have the TV license for free for over 75s. And it is actually, this is according to the Express, people have said it's deeply immoral. The BBC has once again been savaged over its enforcement of the TV license fee, with the campaign group Defund the BBC blasting it as deeply immoral. And it's true. So Defund the BBC campaign have been working really hard to raise awareness in terms of what the BBC are doing. And it's getting absolutely ridiculous because last week the BBC sparked fury by pressing ahead with its decision to scrap the universal free TV license for over 75s. The corporation is now means testing the entitlement, meaning that over 75s must receive pension credit to receive the free TV license, which costs about £160 a year. Now, the problem is that some people might say £160, 157 is nothing because people have money. A lot of the pensioners that we have, they might have some savings or a home. Doesn't mean they have enough income to be able to cover this. But that's also, it's still irrelevant because this was something that they were promised by the BBC, and suddenly the BBC are changing their mind because they want to waste money on these stupid projects and go after the elderly because they're more concerned about with investing into the future generation by brainwashing our children so that they become woke when they grow up. That's their plan. And they've been exposed a number of times of what they actually do. So the Defund the BBC campaign is going really well. It's pushing to decriminalize and make the TV license cover the BBC content only. So I kind of disagree with this part of the Defund the BBC campaign. My views are more radical. I want to completely get rid of the whole concept, the whole corporation, and but I understand that the Defund the BBC strategy is got to go step by step, and it makes sense. Essentially, obviously, initially decriminalize and then make it just to cover the kind of BBC content only. I get that, but I wouldn't even waste any time. Ideally speaking, I want to completely get rid of the whole structure and then start from scratch. Make it a private business, and just like any other media outlet. The campaign group has now accused the BBC of enforcing a strategy of spreading deliberate misinformation and harassing the public. And it's true. These people are openly biased. They've been exposed to be openly biased. Sometimes, actually, occasionally, they've even apologized. With the BBC Newsnight with Emily Maitlis, when she went on a rant against Dominic Cummings, she was forced to apologize. Technically, Emily Maitlis didn't really apologize. The BBC itself issued a statement, which was an apology, but wasn't really an apology. But they have been exposed in the past. You have situations where recently BBC Panorama had a program where they had an expert, Dr. Sonia Adasara, who was an independent expert, right? But then Guido found out that she was a former Labour candidate, featured in Corbyn videos. She shared the stage with Corbyn, spoke at Corbyn rallies, and there's a Wikipedia page dedicated to her activism. Yet the BBC brought her on as an independent expert. They finally admitted that they did breach the guidelines. It's happened so many times. The BBC every now and then breach their own guidelines, and they just apologise and move on with no consequences. Imagine if you, as an employee of any company, and you have an employer, because the bosses of the BBC technically are taxpayers. We pay for them as stakeholders. Well, not me personally, but the people who pay the TV license. If you breach your guidelines repeatedly, you should lose your job, essentially. But nobody loses their job in the BBC. But that wasn't the only case. We even had this guy who was also a BBC independent expert, GP, who was a doctor. And again, we found out that he was a Labour MP. He also recently was a candidate, Labour candidate, to stand for the police commissioner, and the BBC failed to introduce him properly. It's interesting because I'm showing you the articles from Guido. Every single time Tom Harwood, who works for Guido, goes on the BBC, they always clarify Tom Harwood's leaning. So they either introduce him as the Brexiteer commentator or the conservative media journalist or something. They always say a right-wing journalist, whereas when it comes to the other side, every now and then they make a mistake, let's just say. But I'm very much concerned about this plan that they have with expanding this education coverage. Because this is not about what they're going to have on TV, by the way. This is literally on their website. It will be like a page with resources where children could go and search, find pieces on history and other areas. Imagine with everything that's going on with cultural Marxists going around, on the streets. Do you really think the BBC are going to teach kids the truth about history with the British Empire, with everything that's happened, all these statues? No, they're going to teach them the woke version of history. It's happened before. This is not some sort of prediction. If you go on these BBC resources right now, the education ones, it's already very politically correct and very much biased, essentially. We already have problems at schools with certain teachers brainwashing kids. We don't need more than this. So this is the BBC. We're going to expose this stupid organization more often on this channel, as you guys know. If you enjoyed the content, subscribe. If you have been enjoying the content recently, if you want to support the channel, you could become a member by going on the link in the description, youtube.com/myotc/join. A lot of members have messaged saying how we can actually access the premium content. They come up as normal videos. The ones who are not members just don't see them. You just have to kind of go on the channel every now and then. Make sure to click on the notification bell next to the subscribe button to get notified. Make sure to check out the community page, the community tab at the top of the page. I don't think it works with iPads, so either on your phone or on your computer, you could do that. But yes, thanks again for watching. I'm Maya Tousi. I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be about the European Union.